Okay, good morning to you and welcome once again to Planet Radio 101.1 FM. This morning is the newspaper review, and of course this is the time where we seek to keep you informed and entertained and educated about the recent happenings. Now we bring you the stories from the front pages of the tested, trusted and approved news outlets in Nigeria. And with that I say good morning and welcome. My name is Rita Inung, your anchor and pilot on the program, and I have my co-anchor with me this morning. Good morning, Victoria Johnson.
Good morning, Rita. Good morning, listener. Welcome to the show.
All right, welcome to you, Victoria. It is a pleasure having you on the program yet again this morning.
Thank you.
Okay, and so we start with the newspaper review, starting with the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Well, the first story on the front of the Vanguard newspaper says why Nigeria's national database is still fragmented despite NIMC's claims. Now, you know, if you've done your national identity number, NIN, you're supposed to be in the Nigerian national database, but the management in charge, the commission in charge, has said that, this is still fragmented, bits and pieces here and there, but they are giving us a reason on the headline this morning, and so you can find the full detail of that story on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper. Another headline here says, INEC chairman seeks more funding for the elections. You want to recall that we had ₦1 trillion budgeted for the elections come 2027, but it says that the INEC chairman is seeking more funding for the elections. You want to know why? You want to know how? You get to find the full detail of that story on page 4 of the Vanguard newspaper. Okay, the masthead here says how police nabbed DG Adeyemi in Osun State. The court has fixed September 30 for arraigning of this Director General in charge of the fake agency. You've read about the fake agency controversy and you know what has gone down. Safe to point out this morning that the DG in the person of Prince Adeyemi Adeniyi has been arrested by the Nigerian police force. Well, you can find the full detail of that story on page 2 as it is a top story on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Another headline here says U.S. expands sanctions targeting Iran oil, cryptocurrency sectors. Find the full detail of that story on page 8 of the Vanguard newspaper. Another headline here says Nigeria, 3 African nations deepen alliance to boost cocoa value addition. Well, that's on the business news this morning. Find it on page 15 of the Vanguard newspaper. Another headline here says oil price jumps 14% to $84 per barrel as US-Iran ceasefire collapses. This might perceive a hike in petrol prices in the coming days. Fingers crossed, but you can find the full detail of that story to know how sure or how loose the probability is in the coming days. Find out on business page 17 of the Vanguard newspaper. Of course, you want to know the dollar to naira exchange rate today, July 15th, 2026. You can find that on business page 15 as well of the Vanguard newspaper. And finally, this morning, Atiku Obi excited as federal government suspends planned increase in WAEC NECO registration fees. We know that they had said and issued out calls for the federal government to think about their decision and go by it once again. And it is said that that particular decision by the federal government has been placed on hold. And we have seen Atiku Abubakar, we have seen the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, expressing excitement over the postponement indefinitely of this particular information. Well, we'll bring you more stories from the front page of the Punch newspaper this morning. Good morning, Victoria. Over to you.
Okay, good morning once again, Rita. Okay, we are having from Punch newspaper here. And of course, we have a headline here which says 2027 race. INEC recognizes Atiku 470 ATC candidate. Another headline says tears of joy as abducted Oyo pupils reunite with parent. We also have UK-based Nigerian caregiver dies by suicide. And of course, another latest news from the Punch newspaper says KB governor approved 2.11 billion naira for gratuities of 772 retirees and families. Another headline says 2026 World Cup, 10 biggest VAR controversies so far. We also have Macron to visit Nigeria, French ambassador. And also, we have another headline from the Punch newspaper which says Natasha seeks counseling for rescued Oyo pupils and teachers. Now I'm referring to Senator Natasha. So you can check this out on the Punch newspaper this morning. We also have here as headline, women now fake pregnancies with steroids to deceive husbands. Ex-NAPTIP DG says this. We also have a headline here which is saying monitor rescued Oyo pupils' mental health for 1 year. Psychiatrists urge federal government. And of course, finally, we have 2027 APC Same Faith presidential ticket raises fresh dust.
Okay.
So you can actually check all of these headlines out on the Punch newspaper this morning.
Okay. Thank you so much, Victoria. And of course, we go over to the Nation newspaper this morning. It's not going to be any different on the Nation newspaper this morning. Quite a lot of juicy headlines, and I bring them to you right now. The very first headline here this morning says, Minister, experts, strong laws, regulatory reforms are key to achieving net zero, attracting investments. You can find that on business page 10 of the Nation newspaper this morning. This minister, experts are all looking forward to charting the way forward for Nigeria economically. Another headline here says Lion Club 600 million naira for community projects. Well, you want to know how they intend to source for the money, where they intend to seek the money from. You can find that on business page 10 as well of the Nation newspaper. Well, this one says LSDPC rebuilds LATSMA office destroyed during NSAS protest. Now, you want to recall that the NSAS protest was carried out on the 20th day of October 2020. Now, it's very possible that you recall as well that the protest had been going on before the 20th of October, but that is a day that rings history bells in Nigeria. Now, safe to count, 6 years down the line, LATSMA finally gets its office that was destroyed during that protest rebuilt. Now they have an office and they can do their work effectively. Well, you have questions, I'm sure. How have they been doing their work and all of that? You can feel free to check the detail of this story on page 20 of the Nation newspaper this morning. Another headline here says Nigeria's global market leadership validates Tinubu's reforms. This is coming from Izuna. So, well, you can find out how Nigeria's global market leadership is validating President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's reforms this morning. Well, the Nation also has the story on its front page this morning. Fake agency chief arrested in Oshun hideout. He has been charged and set to be arraigned on the 30th of September. Well, you can count 2 months away. Put an alarm on your phone if you're quite interested in seeing how these proceedings will pan out. Well, on the business scene, Shell gets tax relief on $20 billion deep water project. Well, congratulations to them and success ahead on the project. The masthead here says, Makinde under fire over call for UN probe of Orire abduction. Now, you can find the full detail of the story on page 2, as it is a top story this morning. And even most importantly, if you want to know who is putting Governor Seyi Makinde under fire for asking the UN to come probe the abduction in Orire or your state, find the detail and read it for yourself on the front page of the Nation newspaper this morning. Well, another headline here on the scene of entertainment says, being born again does not erase trauma. Funny Bone, the comedian, is urging churches to prioritize mental health. Okay, and so another headline here says, beyond the rhetoric, the North reunites to end banditry and terrorism. Quite interesting this morning. Find that on page 15 of the Nation newspaper. And finally this morning, Benue APC stalwarts declare loyalty to Akume. You can find the full detail of that story on page 17 of the Nation newspaper. Well, more stories to go this morning, and when we come back from this break, of course, the next voice you will be hearing is that of my co-anchor Victoria Johnson. Let's pay a bill, and when we come back, the newspaper review continues. Stay with us. Don't touch the amazing dial.
Information and entertainment make a good collabo on Planet Radio 101.1 FM. It's rising.